Basically, as MonctonCares, we have started this, expert stock project. The reason for starting is when I came in 2017, I didn't know where to look for information. The issues nowadays are different. It's not where to look for information, where not to look for information. Because in our time, we didn't find the guidance we needed. Nowadays we are getting too much guidance on social media, whether it is WhatsApp, Facebook, or everywhere, which is good. It's with good intention. Everyone wants to help, but at the same time, uh, you know at, situations change. Everybody's case is different, and that's the reason it's when the advices which are coming with good intention and free are good, they can sometimes put you in trouble. That's the reason we started this project called Expert Stock, where we call the experts from the industry who are keeping in touch with the current regulations and everything. They know what's required. They are the best people to help you in any situation, and they are the best people to go to if you have any questions. So we have had several expert stocks projects, whether it is buying home, getting your first car, or even the lottery system, insurance, banking, investments. Right now we have, Sarabjeet Kaur, and she will be taking us through from Revive Immigration and talk about, she's a certified RCIC agent, so she can talk more with confidence and with authority about immigration. And she's right here with us. Thank you very much for doing it. Any questions you have about immigration? Here is the right time. Here is the best person to ask. So what I'm going to do for you is, Sarabjit, I'm going to be allowing you to share your screen so you can introduce yourself and we can continue from there.
Thank you, Ruchit. It's really nice to meet you finally. And thanks for organizing these wonderful talk sessions. They're really helping newcomers. I want to join your session for the new home buyer thing, but I could not join. But I was
We have the
following.
video.
Okay, perfect. That's good. So, good morning, everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful start of the day. So, my name is Sarabjeet Kaur, and I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, and I'm also a member of CAPIC, which is a Canadian Association of Professional Immigration Consultants. I'm also a member of that. And today we're just going to talk about how the immigration is with respect to Atlantic Canada and specifically about New Brunswick. And I have a little presentation for you. So I will walk you through the overall process, and then I received a lot of questions, but I have shortlisted them to the one. So I will go through there, and then I'll be open to ask any questions that you might have. Okay, so let's start with the. I think I'm having a little problem to share my screen here. Just give me a minute, guys. Ruchit, I think you have the PDF. If you can share it from your screen.
Sure, I can do that. You just have to tell me when to move next.
Yeah, sure.
Somehow, I don't know why, because I already kept it such a way that you can share, but let's go and do that way.
I think it's something from my end. It does not, I have to go into settings and change it for some reason, but normally it's not like that. So yeah, if you can just share the PDF, then I can just go from there.
Okay, yeah, sure. Just give me 1 minute. You just have to tell me when to go next. Yeah.
Not a problem.
Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, we can. So like I said, my company name is Revive Immigration, and today we are going to just talk about Atlantic Canada and specifically about New Brunswick. Can you go on next slide, please? So in New Brunswick, basically there are 4 programs where you can be apply for any kind of immigration with respect to PR. So 3 of them comes under PNP and one of them is AIPP. PNP ones are skilled worker stream, express entry stream, and business immigration. And 3 of them have different requirements and different outcome, but in the end, it's all the way to your PR. So I have a question for all of you. How many of you are already in Canada? If you can raise your hands and we can have a look. Okay, we have 2, 3. Okay. And the rest of you, I'm assuming, are applying for express entry or you're looking for AIPP who are not in Canada yet. Okay, that's a good idea to know. So basically, like I said, there are 3 different programs where you can apply for. And first, I'm going to explain how this skilled worker stream work. Can you go on next slide, please? Okay, so in NB skilled worker stream, it's only people who have a job offer from New Brunswick employer. And what kind of job offers or knock codes are eligible? They are 0, A, B, or C. There are some occupations which falls under knock D, which is like lowest level, skill level. Even those can be eligible for that. And during this process, when you think to apply for skilled worker stream, your employer must be willing to support you for the entire process from A to Z. And this is minimum requirement. And along with that, you have to meet the selection criteria, which is a point system, and you must have 60 out of 100 points. So that's the roundup of skilled worker stream. I'm not going to go into detail of each one, like how you will get the points and how much experience do you need, because that will be a little too much with respect to the time. But this is the overall. If you don't have a job offer from the employer, and if you don't meet 60 points, and even if you have that, but your employer is not willing to support you, you're not eligible for that stream. And when I say a job offer, it means like they have to fill up that NB004 form for you, and you have to submit that along with your application. So in skilled worker, once, let's assume like you meet all the requirements and you have everything in hand. So how the process work is, next slide, please. So in that process, you apply for a nomination certificate. You send all your documents like your experience letter, your language skills, your birth certificates, for example. There is a document checklist for each category, and then you send that for the nomination certificate. And it's online, but it's separate from express entry. That's what I want to highlight here. You don't get 600 points under express entry here, because skilled worker stream is not part of express entry at all. So once you apply, all you get is a nomination certificate. And this nomination process can take, like, if you're within Canada and if you're a student in New Brunswick, it can take like 2 weeks to 4 weeks. If you're from outside Canada, it can be longer, depending on your knock code, your demand of industry, and all other factors, like how many family members you have. So those things vary. And once you get the nomination certificate, then you apply for your PR application. Again, this is not part of express entry, so you don't have to create any. It's online now, but it's not on the same portal where you create express entry profile. And no 600 points, nothing. You get the PNP certificate, you send the application for PR, and that's it. The biggest I see in this application, in this process, processing time for PR, that's very long. It can take at least 15 to 19 months once you get your endorsement to get your PR. That's the minimum. So if you are short on your work permit, if you are in Canada and you don't have any option, and if you are on employer specific work permit and there's no option to extend it, so you might want to be careful when you apply for this, because it will take a long time to process. Next slide, please. So I think many of you have already heard about express entry. This is a very famous one. So express entry is aligned with the federal express entry. So the very basic requirement for this one is like you must have a valid Federal Express Entry profile. When I say valid, what I mean and what they want, I will explain a little bit about how Express Entry works because it's all linked with this one. So when you apply for Express Entry, first of all, it's not any stream. It's just a system that manages the application of 3 different federal programs, which is Canadian Experience Class, Federal Skilled Worker, and Federal Skilled Trade Worker. So in order to have a valid Express Entry profile, you must be eligible for any of these 3 programs. That's the first requirement. If, let's say, you have CRS of 400 for some reason, but you don't have enough points to meet the Federal Skilled Worker program, or you don't qualify for Federal Skilled Trade Worker, or you don't fall under Canadian Experience Class, you cannot create Express Entry profile. You will not have a valid job seeker code or Express Entry profile number. Your profile will show up ineligible. So when you think about NB Express Entry, you should already have those requirements in place and you should meet those requirements. Second thing, you must be working and living in New Brunswick. That's very important when it comes to any kind of PNP because they want you to stay in the province and help in the local economic factors and help in the labor market. Some people might be confused here because they think we are applying for Express Entry, but we don't. So it means like they don't need employer support. That's wrong. In New Brunswick Express Entry, they have 3 different substreams. If you're applying based on work experience and your job or your living in New Brunswick, then employer support is required. And the only eligible knock codes are 0A or B. If you're working in C or D, you cannot apply. And the minimum language score is CLB 7 that you should have in IELTS, CELPIP, or TEF, whichever your language is. And you should have 67 points out of 100. Now, don't confuse this 67 points with Federal Skilled Worker points or CRS points. So in Express Entry, there is 3 different layers of points. You should meet New Brunswick points for Express Entry. You should have enough CRS score, which automatically you will get if you're nominated. And you should have enough points under Federal Skilled Worker or you meet the requirement of any other program, like Canadian Experience Class or Federal Skilled Trade Worker. And you also should have enough money to support yourself and your family, even if they are not traveling with you to Canada. That's very important. When I say family, it does not mean your parents or grandparents. I got many inquiries when people ask me, can we include our parents in the PR application? Here means only your spouse or your dependent children. And dependent children who are less than the age of 22 and who are not married. So this is how Express Entry criteria is. There is some additional, exceptions for the students who are already working who are already studying in New Brunswick. That's on the next slide. Okay. So if you're a student in New Brunswick and your program is eligible for a post-graduation work permit, you can apply for Express Entry without a job offer. And that's the only exception. It does not mean like you don't have to have those points. You have to meet all those requirements. The only exception is you don't have to have a job offer, which is great help because sometimes it takes time. Sometimes you're working part-time and you don't get the opportunity to find the job in NOC B immediately. So that's really good pathway if you are studying in any post-secondary institute where your program is eligible for post-graduation work permit, and you are in New Brunswick, you can apply for New Brunswick Express Entry without job offer. Another important factor is you must be physically living in New Brunswick. So let's say you're graduate from Crandall or NBCC, for example, but then you want to move to Toronto. And then you think, okay, because I will just graduate from New Brunswick, I can apply for that Express Entry. No, you cannot. You must be present here. And the minimum duration of education, that's 1 year degree, diploma, or certificate And the earliest that you can apply is 3 months before completing your program, or once you finished it within the 6-month period. So you have this critical 9-month window. If you miss that chance, then you will fall under regular requirements. Next slide, please. So in this slide, it's the overall process of how Express Entry works, like I explained. So first of all, you have to create expression of interest in the Federal Express Entry. That's number one thing. Once you have that, you will get your job seeker code and you will have a valid Express Entry profile number. With the help of that, you will create EOI with New Brunswick. And if you meet the selection criteria, and if New Brunswick finds like you align with their labor needs, then they will send you an ITA. ITA is invitation to apply from New Brunswick. It's not the federal one. It's still you are under New Brunswick. So once you get that, you will have 45 days to submit your nomination application. And once you submit that application to the province, and if they approve you, now you get 600 points. So I'm going to give an example here. Let's say your Federal Express Entry CRS score was 350, just an imagination. But you were also eligible for New Brunswick Express Entry stream and you get the nomination from the province. Now you will get 600 more points. So 350 plus 600, that will bring you to 950. And most likely, whenever the next draw will happen, you will be invited under Federal Express Entry now. So
Yay.
Yep. Yeah, so that's important because this is where 600 points came as a lifesaver. And once you have to accept that nomination certificate in your online account. And once you get that, you get invited. Then you get ITA from the Federal Express Entry, and then you have 60 days to submit your PR application. So it's a long journey. Don't confuse the steps with each other. And yeah, this is the final end for Express Entry system. The next thing I'm going to talk about is AAPP, like how AAPP works and what are those requirements. AAPP is a very special program. So if you want to opt for AAPP and if you're eligible, you should consider yourself lucky because then you don't have to worry about all those things that I have just explained, like expression of interest or points, nothing. It's not linked to any PNP streams. It's not part of Express Entry. It does not have any pool of candidates. It's first come, first served. So if you have completed application and you submit that, you're done. That's it. And it does not have any point system. You either meet the requirements or you don't meet the requirements. And the generic requirements for AAP are on the next slide. There are 3 different programs: Atlantic International Graduate Program, High Skilled Program, or Intermediate Skilled Program. So the very first thing that you need is a job offer from a designated employer. And once you have that, you meet your language requirement and experience requirement depending on the stream, you apply for AAPP. The only difference between graduate stream and other stream is you don't need experience for a graduate stream, but you must be graduate from any of the 4 Atlantic provinces. High skilled is only for NOPCOR 0A or B, and intermediate skilled is for 0A or B or C. D does not work here. There were some exceptions for the COVID for the people inside Canada, but normally it's only for 0A, B, or C. And other important thing about AAPP, you don't need LMIA. So I often see on social media or Facebook that people just claim to sell LMIAs. So if someone is selling you LMIA based on the AAPP, just run away. That's not true. You don't need any LMIA. So the AAPP process, you first apply for the endorsement. Ruchit, can you do the next slide, please? So first you apply for endorsement once you have the job offer and provided you meet all those requirements. And once you get the endorsement, then you apply for PR to the federal government. Again, this is not same that you apply for Express Entry. They have a different portal where you can apply for your PNP and your AIPP, after getting endorsement or after getting nomination, there is a different portal where you can apply online application for PR. So this is the generic review of all three programs. I left the business immigration because many of you does not fall under that unless you're specifically thinking about that, then you can write me. But this is generic review, like how immigration works in New Brunswick. And if you have any questions, I will happy to answer them right now.
Hello, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning.
My employer has been applied for my endorsement under NOC 4214 in end of the March. And so I would like to know that in how much time I supposed to get endorsement approval.
So where you are located?
Actually, I am dwelling in India right now.
Okay. So with India, it's a little bit difficult because right now the priority is like only the people who are inside Canada. And that's why it takes longer if you are applying from outside Canada. There is no exact timeline because with the COVID, the demands changed. People were on the high risk, so they have to redesign their priorities.
On Google and other sites, I have read that these NOC fall under in-demand occupation. So, is there any exemptions for that?
Not right now. If you look at India, like even flights are banned from India.
Yes, that is I know.
Yeah, so it depends again that how urgent your employer needs you and what your job duties will be. For example, it falls under essential kinda, but again it depends on the requirements of the government, like what they are looking for, what are their priorities at that time.
Oh, I had job offer, and actually today it is my joining date. So I have to suppose join my job today itself, but it is not possible.
Yes,
so
COVID
I'm
has.
little bit worried. Yes. So
Don't worry about that. It's just because of COVID. Yeah, once things are normal, then it will be taken into consideration that how they can take the people from outside Canada.
Okay, one last thing I would like to ask you that is my offer letter will be valid after a few months, or do I need extension later, or I can start my job online?
So I'm not sure like what duties fall under 4214 because I don't remember them by heart. So it depends on what
it is early childhood education related to teaching life skills and basic routines and
it
teaching
depends
them
again.
moral
Like,
and
if they're
standard
doing it
listening.
online mode, if the education there is a provision that they can provide education online, there might be possibility to work. But if because everything is going back to normal, so I doubt it a little bit, like working from home will help you in any way, because in the end you need to come here to do it if schools are open to normal, for example.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, I see many hands raised, but at the same point of time, I would request, how the questions which are in general, not like, personal things, because it would be difficult to answer to, directly in front of 50 people. Besides, there are 50 people waiting. So, we can get the question answered. There are a couple of questions answered, and I think this will be an answer that, they would be looking for. And I know I've been personally asked by many of them about Crandall University, about something called public. Let me go to the chat. Just me 1 minute. Because I saw that question. I think Pratik asked or somebody asked. Let me just check. Just me 1 minute.
Yeah, I can read it from my screen. So Pratik asked, if I pursue a 1-year master's from Crandall, will I get a 3-year?
Ganesh's question. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 1 year's master. That is also a question. He has raised the hand as well. And then Ganesh question that has been asked many times about AIPP, that they are kind of considering public funded university in New Brunswick. I heard somewhere about Crandall University being included, but I don't want to comment on that.
No.
You are the right person.
Crandall is not included in AIPP because AIPP is only for public funded institutes and Crandall is a private university. Its master programs are eligible for post-graduation work permit, but only master programs, but they don't fall under AIPP. So if you're planning for Crandall, you cannot apply for AIPP. International graduate stream.
I see Kunal raise the hand, and I saw on your website, I think you do have a system. I really like the way you explained about 67 points and not CRS points. Don't confuse between those things, because CRS is out of 16, I think 1200, right? Yeah. And 67 is out of 100. So you can't compare those things, because you will most probably get more than 67 in that. So
there is a different layers of programs on the top of each other.
And I think you have a website. In your website, there is a link where they can do the assessment, right?
No, I don't have assessment link. I do have assessment link to fill up the form, so they can fill that form up. I do 15 minutes free consultation. So if anyone fills that form and I ask for the details, and then I get back to them. But it's not the calculation of points or everything. We do have that system internally, but that's not on my website. It's just the assessment form.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So others who have raised the hand, let me just check. Divya Rajagopalan, can you please unmute yourself? Yeah.
Yes. Hi. So I just wanted to check in the Federal Express entry profile through NB. Like how many years of experience is required, or any particular hours after which we will be eligible to apply?
Minimum is 1 year. Like I said, that's the minimum criteria, but you should also have 67 points. So it depends on different factors like your education, your experience, your language skills. If you have a job offer, if you have education from New Brunswick, if you have family in New Brunswick, if your spouse have English. So all those factors are combined. It's not just one criteria.
The thing is, I'm planning to do my master's in Crandall University. So I'll be coming for 2-year program. I'll be accompanying with my husband and my child. So that way, like, he will be getting the work permit. So he will start working. So once we land there, once he works for a year or so, then we will be eligible to apply through his through him we'll be able to apply if he has 67 points.
If he has 67 points, regardless, but there's a minimum requirement of working in New Brunswick in NOC 0A or B. If you're working in that and you meet 67 points, and if he's the principal applicant, he can apply for that. You don't have to wait 1 year in New Brunswick unless things changed. But as of now, it's all based on 67 points. And the minimum
67 points, and then if we have a valid job offer letter, then we will be able to apply, or still we need to.
No, you will.
We don't need the experience in that case.
You will get points for your experience that you have from India. For example, you can count that as long as it falls under 0A or B.
Okay. And I want to check with you, like, even from outside Canada, we will be eligible to apply for AIPP?
You can, but again, like I said before, with the COVID and everything, things have changed, and it's very competitive. On the other hand, now a lot of students are moving from other provinces. There was time when AIPP was new. Really, like, no one was in New Brunswick or Atlantic Canada. So
no one knew New Brunswick.
Yes. No one really knew about New Brunswick. So at that time, getting job offer from outside Canada, it was a lot easier. And I know a lot of people who came even at the age of like 50, who does not qualify for any other immigration program. But right now, if you're seeking job offer from outside Canada, I will say it next to like maybe 5 or 10% chance that you will get a genuine employer or genuine guidance to find a job offer. It's very, very competitive.
And for the AIPP, you said the Crandall University will not be eligible, right? Even though we are
Yes.
doing the masters or anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Only
But
the private,
there is a
public
confusion over
university.
here, because
Okay.
there is some concern over here. I see in the chat that when we talk about AIPP and Crandall, it's still eligible for NBPNP, right? They can still work
Yes,
because
it
they're.
is. It is. It's
Yes.
And Pratik
eligible
has
for
been, yeah.
NBPNP. If you're a student, you can fall under that student exemption where you don't need job offer. That's fine, as long as you were eligible for this master degree, like for post-graduation work permit eligible program. So let's say if you're in Crandall and you're doing bachelor, you will not be able to apply for post-graduation work permit, and then you cannot apply for exemption from job offer. But let's say you already meet those 67 points in other criteria without the education of Crandall. You have experience in Canada or whatever. Then you can still apply for extended skilled worker stream, but without including, without getting any benefit of exemptions.
So in that case,
for
they'll
the
be
students.
most probably falling into that that slide. Let me go back to that slide.
Yes. Yeah.
Express entry slide where they have to
Yes.
get 67 points and.
Yes. So if you're applying for express entry, in New Brunswick express entry, there are 3 different streams right now. One is for, it's not stream, it's just like 3 different criterias, and you should be eligible for at least one of them. And I'm not talking about federal express entry here, it's subcategories of New Brunswick express entry. So one is if you're working and living in New Brunswick, you are working in NOC 0A or B. So in that one, you can apply if you have 67 points and if you meet the other criteria. You don't have to be dependent on education from Crandall. Now, in second stream, if you are a student in New Brunswick, you can get exemption from the job offer. So if you're from Crandall and if you have done at least 1 year of program, you fall under that category. You can apply for that exemption. You don't need a job offer. The third one is not relevant to anyone because they just invite from the federal one. You must have seen notification of interest, like occasionally New Brunswick invites people. So that's different one. And fourth thing is AAPP. AAPP has 3 streams: graduate stream, highly skilled, or semi-skilled. You can be eligible for any of these 3, but if you're in graduate stream, you don't need any work experience. So that's the advantage if you're a student from New Brunswick or from Atlantic Canada. So if you're a student in Crandall, you will not get that exemption. You don't qualify for international graduate program. But you can qualify for highly skilled or intermediate skilled program. Is it clear, or you want me to explain that again?
Yeah, it's clear. So like in this case, I will be considered as a separate applicant and my husband will be considered as a separate applicant, right? So in any of the fields,
No.
if
No, you're confusing it. You will apply as a family. You cannot, you can
Yeah.
decide who is going to be principal applicant.
Yeah, that's what, like the principal applicant, if he is the principal applicant, then based on his job experience and based on his eligibility, even though I'm a student, I can go ahead and apply for it.
Yes.
Even
That's
though he's coming under my like he will be getting the work permit, still he can apply as a principal applicant.
Yes, he can if you meet the
Okay.
criteria. It's just like you don't get this benefit of no experience required if you are in Crandall. That's the only difference. But for other 2 streams, you're good to go.
Okay, fine. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I see a question, and to me, the answer is very clear on the slide number 9, but you can elaborate more. Do we need ECA for AIPP? I think yes, right?
ECA, if ECA is only required for the education, which is outside Canada.
Outside Canada, obviously. Yeah.
Regardless. So if you're a student in New Brunswick, for example, or in Canada, you don't need ECA for that education, regardless of which program you're applying in. Either it's NBPNP, it's express entry, it's anything. For Canadian education, you don't need ECA. Any education that you want to claim in your profile, which is not from Canada, you need ECA for that.
I see Harish has raised the hand as well. Harish, can you please unmute and quickly?
Yeah, hi. This is Harish. Good morning to all. Uh, can I ask a question? Like, I have a 6 years experience in IT sector. How can I proceed with
Harish, this
this
is a
process?
personal question which requires more
No, no.
time.
I just also ask about all. We're going to apply the immigration process, where we can start. It is under the eligibility requirements for AAP. AAP.
Sorry, I cannot understand the question. Ruchit,
No, no.
can you repeat it for me?
It's about the ECA for AITP.
Okay.
I'm not staying in Canada. I'm in India. So can I apply for the high skill program in AIP?
Yes, if you meet the requirements. So first requirement is to have a job offer. So if you have a job offer in the same field that you have your experience, and if you meet all other criteria, you can apply. It's not bounded to only the people of inside Canada. Anyone can apply for that.
And I see on the slide it says the designated employer. So I think AIPP has a site and certain employers are.
Yes, there is a list of designated employers, and you can only apply through those employers. It's not just any employer. There is a list of designated employers. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
Okay. So can we apply if we are not offered any company by in Canada? So how can we proceed with the process?
Sorry,
if I'm not employed with any, I mean, if I'm not getting any offer in Canada,
then you cannot apply. It's as simple as that.
No. Where we can start apart from the AIP.
So for AIPP, the first thing is like you should have a job offer. That's the very first thing.
Yeah, okay, understood. So if I'm not, if I'm not met this requirement, so how can we start the process?
You cannot start the process.
You cannot start the process. That's what I'm saying.
No. How can we get a job offer?
How to get the job offer? So that's your question.
Yeah.
Okay. So
you apply for a job.
Yeah, you can go on Indeed.ca, jobbank.com. You have to keep trying, but like I said before, it's very, very competitive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have little more than 1 minute left. After that, you have the phone number and addresses of, Sarabjeet and her company, so you can reach out to them. And as she mentioned, she's very generous about having 15 minutes of completely free, guidance, one-to-one call. So we can certainly take advantage of it. So, this is really nice of her because normally there is a charge for that. I see the hands raised, but in the situation, that we have short times, we would not be probably able to answer any more questions. But it was really nice of you, Sarabjeet. If you would like to conclude, and any comments that you have of what you would like to do in your next webinar, because we would like to have this as a session one, not like just one time.
Yes. So no, we plan to continue these sessions like on monthly basis. So we will publish the time as it comes on our social media platforms. But this is not the end of that, guys. So it was just we will be having more sessions, and like I see, there's a lot of questions that I cannot answer right now. So in next sessions, we will try to do it properly.